What y'all think about right here? With the pretty music, overlooking the water, birds chirping in those big-ass trees. All right, we'll do it here. This is where we'll officially bury 3v3. Because it's fucking dead. Okay, so these numbers hit the press in the PvP forums about a week ago. I really didn't get a chance to talk about them. I wanted to get this video out earlier, but I got to be careful weaving these into my adult life. You know how much your girl loves it when you're cranky all the next day from staying up all night playing WoW. They love that shit, don't they? Fuck it. It's good for them. But BFA Season 4 right here. Look at this. Okay, so right up here at the top, we're going to go North America on the left, EU on the right. This is players above 2,400. So at the end of BFA, which was fucking brutal and gruesome and corruption and just awful, right here, that you got down, look, 124 in NA and 160. Okay, so those are sad times, but they're in the past. But look at these numbers. Shadowlands Season 1, 2823 for NA, 3560 for EU. Holy shit. At that 3v3 participation. Now, I played this season. This was the pinnacle of boosting. A lot of players that are really good at this game sell boosts or carries. They'll call it coaching, but it's really hard to distinguish between the coaching or carrying from the low-level players that are getting farmed either way. So what happens is high-level players sell the service to get your character, and you just join their team, and they carry you. Now, this is done in 2v2, and it's damn sure done in 3v3. And this was the pinnacle of that. There was more carries and boosts being sold in Shadowlands Season 1. There were times, because you got to remember, this was before cross-faction. This is the cross-faction luxury, and I was an Alliance player back then. This is when I really started healing in PvP. And one of the things that everybody seems to be leaving out, or at least I don't see anybody talking about it on videos, is that the boosting here was just primo. You could get any service from raked battlegrounds to anything you wanted. But as an Alliance player, it was very common to look, especially super late at night or early in the morning, to looking for group. And there was literally more advertisements for carries than there were people actually trying to play the game. Now look at these Dragonflight numbers. Dragonflight Season 1, players above 2,400. NA 349, EU 323. Holy shit. Now, the first thing is you got to see a huge red flag if you're Blizzard, because if you know anything about arena participation, it's always highest in Season 1. There has never been a Season 4 arena participation that has been higher than the Season 1. It always steadily declines. And as you can see, we don't got a lot of room here. So they're going to have to buck a trend that they've never bucked before to get arena turnout up, which they're not going to do because they don't put any effort into the PvP side of their game. And they definitely shouldn't do for arena when you could, everything that they should be doing for PvP right now should be for solo shuffle. And anything they're doing other than trying to get more healers in solo shuffle is a huge waste of their time. This is the problem right here. This is what we got to have. This is what you got to figure out if you're trying to save 3v3. How do you get more of these? How do you get more of these guys out here in Elwyn to climb into that fucking nightmare? Let's just frame this argument from the beginning very accurately. Because you hear a lot of shit about inflation or deflation and all this other stuff. But all those are, inflation and deflation are just factors of participation. High inflation means a lot of people were playing. Deflation just means low participation. That's it. That's all those mean. And what's really fucking hilarious is if you participated in a high participation season, you'll get shit on for it by high-level PvPers. Yeah, they'll tell you that whatever rating you earned during that season doesn't fucking count, and they're not impressed with it. They're only impressed with the numbers that are earned when they're all fighting each other up at like whatever, 2,600, and no one else is playing. That's the only thing that impresses them. And that really plays into the two reasons why you're having such low participation in Arena 3v3. Is because on the one hand, you've got Blizzard who refuses to develop the PvP side of their game and throw development time to their PvP community. And on the other side of the coin, you've got the, WoW PvP community that loves, absolutely adores to shit in the hand that feeds it. And let me give you a real example of why things were so deflated, which remember, I want you to remember when you hear deflated, remember there was nobody fucking playing. And I'll show you why there was no one playing in the last season of Shadowlands, because this is what you did in Shadowlands Arena. Okay, if you weren't a streamer who has a bunch of friends and a bunch of people are dying to play with you because you're some famous WoW streamer, okay, if you're just a guy trying to learn the game, or you were someone, just some casual, got home from work and you just wanted to do a little arena for a few hours, this is what you would do. All through Shadowlands, it was just like this. Okay, I want to show you what it was like. You come in here to the group finder, you go into rated, and you go to pre-made groups, and then you'd look in here. Now, there's a ton of groups. There wouldn't be near this many, especially on Alliance side. There might be half this many. Half of them would be advertisements. We'll get into that. So what you do is you queue up, and then you'd run in a circle, okay, until that group accepted you. And if they accepted you, then you would go inside there, and you would fight your arena. Now, it's your first time with the character. You're still learning the game. It's your first time playing with this person. So oftentimes that first game resulted in a loss. Sometimes you lose a few in a row as you got your feet wet or trying to warm up, right? But that wasn't really acceptable. Okay, you sort through all the advertisements and boost stuff and you queue up again. And you would just do this over and over all fucking night. Now, sometimes you'd find a partner to queue with. And I found a few, but oftentimes what happens is that person quits playing. Because so many people quit playing, a lot of the partners and people I found actually were great partners for like a week, but then they disappear because no one wants to stick with it. And this is the problem, is that most of the feedback you're getting on WoW comes from people that play WoW a fuck ton more than the average person. And I think sometimes they encourage direction and practices that are not actually good for the health of the game, because they're seeing it from a very, very specific point of view. Let me tell you about a little secret that no one ever mentions on their PvP guides. The high-level PvPers don't talk about it much, but it's a dirty little thing that happens, and it was rampant during Shadowland, and that's boosting or carrying. Basically what happens is a guy that's really good at PvP gets with someone who's not very good, whether because they don't have the time or they don't have the skill or some combination. And what that high-level player will do, whether for gold or views or real-life money, I mean, whatever the transaction, there's some transaction that takes place, and that high-level player will go through and they will demolish all the new players trying to learn the game so that that other player can get a number and a title that they don't deserve. I don't deserve to be anywhere fucking near a goddamn gladiator mount, nor will I ever. And neither will many of you. You want to know why? Because of this. And here's the big factor that never gets talked about, not by the Twitchies, not by the Blizzard posts or anything, is that the highest level of 3v3 is the people that are at the very top have thousands of fucking hours invested. I mean, they have played the literal fuck out of this fucking game. I mean, they've played it in a way that you and I couldn't even fathom. And I've played it more than most people. I mean, I could have learned whole fucking languages with the time I've spent in WoW. But these guys are on dude, I'm telling you, you got no fucking idea. Okay, the time that these guys have invested. And it's such an important factor that, look, here's a guide on becoming gladiator. Let's look at chapter. What's the first thing it says? It's going to take time. Number 2, a whole lot of time. Number 3, it's going to take some patience and time. You've got 2 ways. You've got to invest thousands of fucking hours to go compete with people that literally play this game for a job. Or you've got to buy a boost and have someone carry you. And that's what happens, is that either people invest thousands of hours, or at least hundreds. And, if you already have invested thousands of hours, you don't have to take it. But these guys talk like, they just hop over on another character. That's why rank 1s are able to just hop over on other characters and get to there really quickly. The reason rank ones are able to hop onto other fucking characters is because they've played so fucking much, they know what everybody does. That's it. That's one of the huge struggles of WoW PvP for new players is you got no fucking idea. Everybody's got like 60 fucking abilities and you have no idea. You're just trying to learn yours. Okay, but time is that hidden gem that no one wants to talk about. And it's that hidden factor. And one of the things that you can know about World of Warcraft PvP is the World of PvP devs and the World of PvP high-rated players both have a fetish for shitting on new players. They love it. They love to talk down to them. They love to not develop them. They don't like to put tools in their game to help them. Nope. But time is the number one factor that determines whether you're good at World of Warcraft. Now, I'm not saying skill doesn't come into it, right? Obviously, if I spent 10,000 hours playing and a rank 1 spent 10,000 hours playing, they're still going to stomp my shit. There's no question. No question at all. However, I don't think it's a good practice to let guys with 10,000 hours beat up on people that are trying to learn the game. I don't think you should let those people make alts and help carry other people and be rewarded for carrying up other people by shitting on new players. And because people just absolutely refuse to be honest about this, I think Blizzard should institute a time buff. I think from the moment you log in to the moment you log out for reset, it should track your weekly time spent, right? And then if you're under 10 hours a week, your buff stays green. After 10 hours or whatever, just make it whatever, right? They have the averages. Just whatever the average is, it goes yellow. Okay, because now you play a little more than the average. And then for these guys that are playing 8, 12, multiple, they got 10, 12 alts and they just do WoW. A huge section of their life is just spent doing WoW and only fucking WoW. Then they get the red buff, right? They give them a T-Mog or whatever else. God, they deserve something, right? But what it would indicate is that way when you see your guy getting shit on by someone with a red buff, you won't take it so personally. Because the high-level PvPers don't want to be honest about that, right? They're not like, hey, I'm awesome. They always refer to it in skill. Or they are talking about themselves being skilled or shitting on noobs or whatever, right? But they learned how to do that by spending thousands and thousands of hours for years and years to develop that skill, right? And then they use that skill to help boost, carry, and shit on people. But what I'm suggesting is you don't need another 2,700 person, and you really don't need a whole bunch of people that get the red buff. What you guys really need is a whole bunch more people with the green buff, right? And that's where you're hurting because you're not developing the game for them because you keep listening to the people with the red buffs tell you about the game and how it should be developed and how everything should have more defensive cooldowns. And they break it into which bracket should be inflated and deflated, but they leave out all this shit. Okay, I don't want to spend the time to get high level 3v3. Okay, I don't want to compete against guys that are playing this game 20 plus hours a fucking week because I play other games. So not only is there a huge disparity in time investment, but you're going to have to protect your young players from getting boosted on, carried over, and or shit on and insulted by people that dedicated their fucking life to this goddamn game. And so and this is not even just a WoW problem. This is just a problem in general is how do you balance games where you've got people that basically live and work in it versus people that just stop in for an hour or two after a full day. And it's very hard. I mean, I don't envy the dev team here. That's a very hard thing to balance, especially when most of your feedback comes from the rather dedicated community, we'll say. But when you talk about incentives, right, the elite PvPers, again, they want all the incentives to go to the high-rated players. But what do you do when most of us don't give a fuck about being high-rated? And secondly, most of us don't want to spend the time on what it's going to take, especially for those of us who aren't as skilled, to get high-rated. So no matter what incentives you put in 3v3, I'm not going to get them, right? I'm not going to get a glad mount because I'm never going to be that good because I'm never going to put that time in. And I also know that half the people that do have them bought them. And so let's be very clear about to the people. And this isn't all high-rated players. A lot of high-rated players would agree with what I'm saying, or at least some of what I'm saying, right? But let's send a message out to that high-rated player because I see a lot of crying, right? A lot of people saying solo shuffles for scrubs, that it's for people that suck at the game and they'll never be good, and 3v3 is the best, and they're really sad. I saw a post that someone was crying about how sad they were and how it's a low point in the WoW community that people are happy 3v3 died. Okay, this is why people are happy 3v3 died, because it's a game mode that rewards people that play the most OP shit, and play it all the fucking time, rather than the rest of the community that can't play that much, doesn't want to play that class, and wants to play in a more friendly and fun environment. Okay, this rewards the sweatiest motherfuckers in the game rather than the people that are playing for fun. So your expectation for casual players is you think that they should spend the time to learn this game so that they can play against players that thousands of hours playing the most OP shit, and you want to know why your fucking game mode is dying. Jesus fuck, what a fucking luxury to be that stupid. And look, the solution is right here, right out front. Huh, Blizzard, where's my dueling yards? Why won't you dedicate development to building this game so the PvP community can interact with each other outside of instances? How come the only time I get to see PvP people, I can't really be part of a community because you won't even throw us a bone? You built a Brawlers Guild and didn't even make it for the Brawlers. And I don't understand why there's not just huge incentives for high-level players to help low-level players. Okay, there should be just a shit ton of transmogs, gold, mounts, titles, whatever, for players that are helping new players learn. And you should create arenas and training areas and dueling pens and all types of shit. And the guys that participate in this type of, content, and they're helping your community, they should be the most rewarded. Fuck a gladiator mount. I want to give a mount to the guy that's helping 10 new players learn how to heal, because that's what this game needs. This company needs another motherfucking gladiator about as much as it needs another scandal. But I don't understand why this neglect has gone on, because WoW PvP is hard, and to get better at it takes a lot of investment. And people aren't going to make that investment if during the first 2 hours they just get deleted. And I don't know why you have never done this. 20 fucking years in this game, and you've never once reached out to this part of your community in any real developmental sense. And it's ridiculous. But we need to incentivize players helping players in this game, and especially in the PvP part of this game. And so we got a real problem here, family. What do you do with 3v3 if you're Blizzard? Solo Shuffle comes along. I don't have to deal with any of the looking for group bullshit. Okay, I don't have to link my XP or not get invited. I can just queue up, go in there, get yelled at and told I suck, and go to bed. Without all of that old bullshit. The boosting and carrying, non-existent. So what the fuck do we do with 3v3? And this is what breaks my heart, because I love 3v3. I think it has huge possibilities. You could build a whole ogre faction, and you could have incentives, and people could fly all around Azeroth, fight in front of the ogre mercenaries or whatever the fuck. But you should have dueling yards and training yards. There could be a whole aspect of this game that's just training and preparing and learning how to PvP, and it could be awesome and incentivized. It could be so cool. There's so many great options for 3v3. But the problem is, and remember this, the roadmap that you guys went fucking crazy for and thought was so awesome? Can you show me in here where they're going to develop and incentivize 3v3 so that's even remotely as popular as Solo Shuffle? Why not just scrap them all and just stick with Solo Shuffle? Because the WoW PvP community, the real one that's buying subs, not the ones on Twitch, not the ones on YouTube, the people actually paying your fucking bills, seem more than happy with Solo Shuffle. So we'll lay her down here, family. Our beloved 3v3. And we'll give her a beautiful tombstone. So that people from the WoW development team to the high-numbered Twitchies to the nobodies like me, all of us together can come and gather and remember that the second it could, the WoW community dropped 3v3 like a hot sack of shit. And that the ideas and development time it would take to get 3v3 anywhere near as popular as Solo Shuffle is nowhere to be seen on that roadmap that everybody was so fucking impressed with. So, all things considered, I'll get to digging. Bokelholm out.